Okay, hello everybody, and thank you for joining for today's Crystal Essentials Module 1 training. So this session is to follow on from the intro you would have had at either a Red Piranha partner or a customer intro event. My name's Kevin Greeley. I'm the channel manager for Australia and Asia Pacific. And with me, I have the star of the show, the one and only Ben Aylett. Ben is Red Piranha's product manager and also a TV personality that many of you, especially anybody in Western Australia, will recognize. Ben started at Red Piranha as a partner and loved the solution so much he joined us. So that's good news for everybody. And Rhea, our customer success manager, is manning the chat. So feel free to chime in with any questions during the webinar on the right-hand side there. So by now, you will all know Red Piranha as a multi-award winning Australian sovereign cybersecurity company focused on bringing affordable enterprise-grade cyber protection to the mid-market. Officially launched in 2015, Red Piranha now has more than 400 partners across 5 continents. We recently won the Next Generation in XDR category at the Global InfoSec Awards at this year's RSA conference there in San Francisco. Now, today's session will dive further into the value you can get from Red Piranha, from both professional services and, of course, our crown jewels, the Crystal XDR platform. So let's get things underway and let me hand over to Ben. Over to you, Ben.
Thanks very much, Kevin. Okay, a bit of housekeeping before we get started. You're more than welcome to use the chat window on the right-hand side of your screen, either to say hi to each other or to ask questions that we'll be covering later on in the session. Now, as you can see, we've got a fair bit to get through, so let's get underway. Okay, so Red Piranha is known as an extended detection and response, or XDR vendor. We've developed our own XDR solution designed to bring a suite of cybersecurity tools and functions under a single vendor offering, which is also known as CSMA, or Cybersecurity Mesh Architecture. Now, if you haven't heard this term before, don't worry, you're going to be seeing more and more of this as time goes on, as other vendors work hard to try and integrate multiple tools under a single product offering. This is something we've already done. Now, CSMA or XDR solutions, it's important, as up until recently, in order to get a good cybersecurity management system together, it consisted of taking all these different products from dozens of providers and then trying to get them to work. So not only is this costly in like CapEx and licensing, it's also expensive when it comes to integrating and then like all the engineering time that goes into standing it up and then keeping it running. So this is something we've seen as a problem, and we are addressing it by integrating all these tools into a single platform, which is Crystal and the associated services. So as everything's designed around this platform, the task of selecting, implementing, operating, and maintaining a fully service compliant security solution, now fully compliant is important as well, it's never been easier or more efficient. So you can really drive the TCO right down. Now, all of this is underpinned by our Crystal platform, which we'll be going into depth a little bit later. Now, as you can see with this chart here, the Red Piranha business model is also centered around with the goal of assisting businesses to develop their level of maturity around cybersecurity. So starting out with your initial advisory and then going through the various stages where they get all the way up to ISO compliant systems. Now, our services cover a range of functions and outcomes. Some of these are delivered as traditional standalone services, including digital forensics, incident response, network engineering, security training, vCISO, VPN, vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, and general consulting services. Now, others leverage the Crystal platform to efficiently bring managed services like digital forensics, which is also a standalone service, but we have an integrated digital forensics system available or solution available. As well as eCISO, vulnerability scanning. So this was a big tick for me when I first discovered Red Piranha, was having vulnerability scanning available in the protection systems. And also, this is more giving more to the client and partner, and it gives them peace of mind and improved delivery of security outcomes. Now, just on the Crystal Eye range of appliances, these are some of the most powerful and feature-packed devices in the market, and we're priding ourselves on this technology because it's using the latest hardware available and employs a build-to-order model to bring our Australian-made, and that's very important as well. We've worked very hard to make these Australian-made appliances, and they're being exported all over the world. They're in fact also a part of the Defence Export Register. So if you manage to get your hands on the Defence catalogue, you'll find us somewhere in the pages there in between missiles and tanks. So the product range consists of 8 major lines. So it means any size deployment is possible, from a small office of 5 to 10 users needing fully secured 100 megabits per second connection, all the way out through to major telco class implementations consisting of custom built solutions that are able to process in excess of 65 gigabits per second and beyond. So XDR appliance selection, even though we've got these different solutions, selecting it is really straightforward and simple because the criteria is quite often just boiled down to things like throughput and also the number of seats or users you're trying to cover. So there's no weird licensing or any other sort of hoops to jump through. It's just pick the solution, what sort of performance you want out of it, and that's the device that you need. Now, ordering is done via the Red Piranha online store, or for more complex solutions, you can also engage your account manager or the Red Piranha team if you need help with submitting tenders or RFQs. So we look after all of it, from really large to really small. Now, partners can also be appointed as authorized purchasing officers because we recognize that in some organizations, the partner or the MSP takes a really active role in the acquisition of technology within the client organization. So we do allow partners to act on behalf as staff members of clients. So this ensures that the product license is assigned to the client, which satisfies our legal and compliance requirements. Now, once they're ordered, appliances are built to order and shipped, and our target is around 3 to 4 weeks from when the invoice is generated or cleared to when we actually ship. All right, excuse me, just got hung up there for a sec. Okay, so overall, what is Crystal Eye? It's a flexible platform that's been developed to integrate a wide range of tools and functions into a single solution. So for you, the partner client, Crystal Eye is a single appliance that you plug into your network, and it gives you access to the tools that's needed, but it's so much more. All up, there's around about 150 servers or like systems that we run within the Crystal Eye service delivery network, and they work in the background when it comes to things like scheduling, collating information, analyzing traffic, all sorts of things, and also reporting as well, which is very, very important. Now, Crystal Eye bundles core functions, including asset discovery, mapping, authentication, advanced firewall, intrusion detection and prevention, content filtering, and SD-WAN, just to name a few of the functions. There are also some more advanced functions like application control, protocol filtering, DLP, secure web gateway, threat hunting, vulnerability scanning, and we also have our own technologies, which is automated actionable intelligence, eCISO, and CISA. Just to elaborate, CISA is our Crystal Eye attack surface reduction application, which actually goes on your Windows endpoints and helps to harden those endpoints in accordance with your Essential 8 and your defense standards. Now, all of these tools work in concert to increase visibility, reduce dwell time, and assist in delivering on compliance goals. In fact, we do like to brag around about here and say that we've got a proven track record when it comes to reducing exposure. So with all the direct integration with our SIEM and constant monitoring through our SOC, we've detected, responded, addressed, reported, and closed a potential breach within 24 minutes. So that was a record that we set, I think it was around this time last year. And so we're particularly proud of that, considering that the typical industry dwell time is around about 12 to 18 months. Okay. So Crystal Eye, you can see, is a powerful compliance tool that can guide partners on their cybersecurity maturity journey, especially when teamed up with our risk management program, where you actually have your own risk managers looking after your interests. Now, quite often around this time, we get the question, what about cloud deployments? Well, we can say the good news is that, yes, we do have cloud-ready solutions, and they're available now. So we do have the ability to provide localized points of presence with our own hosted solutions or solutions hosted within TPG's data center network. We also have AWS-based virtual appliances available, and very soon we'll have Azure environments ready to protect your Microsoft 365 and other cloud-based infrastructures. We can also do a hybrid version. So if you need to cover both your on-premise solution in conjunction with your cloud solution, we can take care of that. Now, licensing is one of those areas of concern for the partner and the client because it can be confusing and may contain unexpected surprises. We've recognized this and we've made sure that our licensing is as straightforward as can be and only requires additional purchases for value-added services like backup, digital forensics, eCISO, incident response. Services that require a bit of extra effort, either from our specialists in risk or cybersecurity, SecOps operations, sorry. The Crystal Eye appliance by default includes the software license and a silver SIEM subscription, which is good for 12 months. It also gives you access to all the features that you see in the marketplace from day one. So there's no need to purchase extra seats for more VPN connections or to unlock a feature that may have been grayed out. So there's no gotchas in that sense. So if you see the application in the marketplace, you have access to it, you can run it. And of course, there are those little exceptions. So things like vulnerability scanning and stuff that requires extra effort from our team. Now, the Red Piranha tiered SIEM system is a simple and flexible way for you to tailor your monitoring and response to suit your risk appetite. So level 1 is your basic or default level, which includes availability and integrity monitoring of the Crystal Eye appliance. And it also includes access to all your updates. So your rules, intelligence feeds, and all application updates that are installed on the appliance. Level 2 includes everything in silver, of course, but it adds wider monitoring to include monitoring of network activity, AV scans, DLP, secure gateway. So it just goes a step further with monitoring and reporting. And then you can go all the way to platinum, which includes the gold features, and adds things like real in-depth IDPS analysis. So you can actually have our SecOps team analyze IDPS events, and they'll report, and they're also more ready to spring into action should you have an incident. So they'll detect it and resolve it very quickly. So this is an example of the level of SIEM that gives that 24-minute response. And of course, we offer endpoint protection as a part of the EDR package. So that's an optional extra. Now, licensing is a key part of the process when it comes to registering a device. So it's very, very important that it's done correctly. So currently the best practice is to purchase the license in the name of the legal entity that's going to be protected by that license. So in the case of a partner setting up protection for a client, the license must be purchased in the name of that client. This allows the proper setup of the legal requirements and protects the interests of all parties and reduces the risk of exposure to the partner through incorrectly assigned licenses. When the appliance goes through the first-time setup, it's registered under the account that belongs to the party to be protected. This registration phase allows the assignment of the preferred license to the right appliance. Now, once the license is set, it'll remain set on that device even after a factory reset is performed. So it's essentially tattooing that appliance to that client. Now, licensing applies to virtual appliances as it does to on-prem appliances. Okay, so managing your devices is easily done through the Orchestrate interface. I'll just quickly do a demo. Let's quickly switch screens. This is more of a backup in case I have problems. All right. So just to give you an idea, we'll have a look at our deployments. So from the deployments page, we'll see that we've got some appliances here. It's looking a bit janky because we've got it displaying on a smaller screen. This is one of these Demio limitations. But anyway, you can see that we've got our appliance there. It's named, location, got the host name, the SIEM license. Now, because I'm using my own demo gear, you can sort of see that I'm using a different license. But if you were using a proper license, you'd know the expiry date. You'd see if there's any alerts and also current schedules. I see John asking a question here. Are these live? Absolutely. Yes, they are. I'll even go in and have a look at one right now if you like. Now, if we want to drill into this a little further, we can. So you just click on that appliance, and from here, you can see if the appliance is overall, if it's online or not. You've got this nice little button here you can click on and manage. So you don't need to have a fixed public IP address in order to access it, or you don't need to set up sort of funky FUDN link. You've also got access to your application status, so you can see the applications on the appliance, in this case, are all running and smooth. So you'll want to know if something's not working. That way you can action it right away. You don't want to have an appliance sitting out there with not collecting logs or anything, because when the time comes and you find that you need the logs the most, they're not there. That's a real problem. You've also got access to things like RAM and CPU readout. I'm not actually tracking that at the moment on this system, but you can watch CPU and RAM usage there, so you can keep an eye on that. And you've got access to schedules and reports. So you've got your packet capture, vulnerability scans, and so on and so forth. Okay, and that is essentially how we look at our devices, otherwise known as deployments. Now, for partners, we understand that the importance of accurately and easily tracking your clients. So I'll just switch to another quick screen just to demonstrate that. So this is like a test or a fun account I've set up here, and this is MSP, get it, running the test MSP code. She can log into her Orchestrate dashboard, and we can have a look at our clients. So we can have a look at log in here, and of course, because security, dear, it's got me. Because I've turned off my phone. What we'll do is we'll probably just push on. Yep, Demo God's got me. They didn't
There's
take
no
much
workaround for that security thing, luckily.
Well, no, and that's the idea. We don't want to work around for obvious reasons, because security. John's got a question there. Can we click on any button here to go through to the live XDR dashboard? Well, if you've got an XDR appliance set up, yes. You click on the Manage button. So hopefully that answers your question there, John. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just push on here. There you go. And that's a much better look at how the deployment page looks. All right, demo walkthrough. So that's our client management. All right. While I'm waiting for my phone to boot up, we'll push on and we can cover this a little later. So managing relationships is the next one. Again, I'm going to be needing good old Emma's. Oh, come on, Emma. Sorry, excuse me. Concentrating on putting in PIN numbers. All right. So I'll let that go through.
Word around the office is Emma doesn't like you much, Ben. Just privately. You know.
Well, I find that hard to believe, because Emma's nothing without me, because I
That's
created her.
That's what I tell everybody.
Yeah. That's right. Right, we're in. I got it. Share this and go back to there. Share. Now we've logged in. I've entered in my super secret code, which is the two-factor authentication. While we're on it, it's that time-based authentication. So you can use your Google Authenticator or Authy, I think also the Microsoft, as long as like that time-based authenticator, you're good to go. So you've got your test MSP code. So once we've logged in, we're going to log in under the test MSP code or the MSP's account. So this is the MSP's primary account. And we will just quickly make sure we go and have a look at our client management. So we click on My Clients, Overview. There we go. Oh, we're back on an even keel, everyone. Much better. Okay, so we can see we've got a client. They've got 5 devices, no active license. And this dashboard really gives you a good, I suppose, at a glance view of your security book, I guess. Way to describe it. So we can see that we've got offline deployments. There's our test customer companies, so we can see them there. So you get a really good view of your customers and their appliances right away there. And just bear with me for a sec, just catch up with my notes. Okay, deployments, demo walkthrough, cool. All right. And we've also got the ability to add clients as well as refer a client. So if you wanted to add a client, super simple. You've got this add client button here. You just pop in the name, an email address, and what they'll do, what will happen from there is they will receive an email which they'll then accept and click on some links and just verify their email address, and presto, that gives them an account on Orchestrate under the partner account. So that means that we value that relationship between the partner and the end user, and we honor that. You can also refer a client. So let's say in the case where you've got a customer and you don't actually have a relationship with them so far to like get a service going, so they're not actually on your books, but you want to be able to provide them with a security service so you can actually open that relationship up. So you can refer a client and they will actually be referred to us. We'll take care of them, and you'll also get a commission for that sale as well. I've got some questions. Is there a dashboard for OS patching status? Not in Orchestrate, but we can do vulnerability scanning. So it's more of a report based on that. John's also asked a question. Can you ask client in here under the partner account and automatically have admin rights? We will go over that. So we're very mindful of the way that we assign rights because security, obviously, and compliance and privacy, we've got to make sure that we do the right thing by everyone. So we're not just going to allow a partner to create a client account and then give them free range over that account straight away. It's a carefully measured process where you're given only the rights you need to execute your job. And this is your zero trust sort of thinking. All right. But thanks very much for those questions. They're great questions, guys. Terry, just quickly, yes, it is possible to create an evaluation or trial access to Crystal through Orchestrate. No, for trial or evaluation access, we do have module 2, which will give you access to a virtual instance, which will take you through the training. And then we've also got an NFR program where we will sell you an appliance at our cost, and you're free to just go for it. Just put it on your office network or home network and just learn as much as you like. All right.
Yeah, Terry, we can take this offline in the next few days or early next week when we meet.
Awesome. Yeah, Terry sounds keen. Good to hear. Okay, so the client can deal directly with Red Piranha using the self-service facilities, but the partner still receives a commission for the purchases. So this is something that I referred to before, where we honor that partner-client relationship. Security service agreements, now, important to keep this in mind. Security service agreements between the client and Red Piranha for compliance and legal reasons are between the client and Red Piranha. You don't want to have any confusion when it comes to contracts or legal obligations, when it comes to dealing with things like breaches or vulnerability scanning, that sort of thing. So we still work with a partner, but we want to make sure that that legal relationship between Red Piranha and the client is between Red Piranha and the client. The partner can be appointed as an authorized or secondary contact by the client, and this is often the case. So Red Piranha and the partner effectively still work together to deliver security outcomes for the client. So a good example is there'll be remedial work as a result of a vulnerability scan. So Red Piranha does a vulnerability scan, hands the report to the client, and then the client has got essentially a list of things that need to be done in order to up their security. Now, typically this has been used as a stick to beat existing partners over the head with. And I understand that because, coming from MSP world, when people do audits, it's not always a good thing. So it's good that when you have Red Piranha and the partner working together to scan the network, to come back with a report, and you can say, see, I told you, Mr. Client, we needed to take care of these things. And now Red Piranha, a cybersecurity expert, they're confirming what I've already said all along, and then work gets done. It just makes your life as a partner that much easier. Okay, so all this and more, so much more, comes under this Orchestrate interface. And it's just a central tool for managing your managed security service business. And it's always under constant development, and Orchestrate is going to continue to evolve to address the needs of clients and partners. So from here, you can do things like view your licenses, track deployments, here we go. We can order products. So you can order your Crystal XDR appliances, upgrade your SIEM, Crystal 360 bundles. This is actually one that I was very keen on getting started up a couple of years ago, where we recognize that CapEx is quite often a barrier for people to start taking security seriously. So Crystal 360 is more of like an OpEx type proposition where you pay monthly for really, really good security. So I think when you look at the numbers, it'll actually be very appealing. You can also order services that are integrated with the Crystal Appliance. So things like your backup, digital forensics, eCISO, all of this is available once you guys get your account set up on Orchestrate. You can go through and have a look yourself. You can also order standalone services as well. So they don't necessarily need to have a Crystal Appliance in the network in order to be sort of delivered. So this is ideal for when you're just starting out with a new customer. They don't have a Crystal Appliance on their network, and we can get straight away. So quite often we have an instant response that usually triggers that first contact with a new client. So we start off with an instant response, and then we build from there. You can also order managed services, so managed EDR. You can track your purchases and your shipping. So if you were to buy anything, you can buy it here, pay for it. You've got your service level agreements in terms of service. You also have your refer and earn, so you can make referrals and track your commissions. Tracking system. While I was speaking about tracking systems, so you can watch your appliance as it travels from our factory here in Perth to wherever it needs to be anywhere in the world. You've also got access to training and incident reports. So training, we all understand training is incredibly important when it comes to ensuring the security of our clients, because it can't all just be a technical solution. It's also got to be like an education, or dare I say it, like a cultural solution as well. So we're just trying to get everyone on board and just going in the same direction to try and protect themselves and the business. Okay. All right. So there's our training. Just a quick look through there. You can see the training that we've got available. You've got your Crystal Essentials, which we're going through now, but cybersecurity awareness training. This is pitched at your everyday person in the office or in the workshop or in the field. So it's not pitched at your super technical people. It's just a good way for people to get that sort of base knowledge on how to be better at cybersecurity. And of course, incident reports. So if you have an incident, you can log it, and you can track that incident report as it goes through the various stages. I'm just going to switch back to the presentation as we're going to go through. All right, setting up accounts. So this is going to be a step-by-step on how we go through and set up an account as a partner. So the scenario is we've got Emma Espy, otherwise known as MSP. She's the director of the test, MSP Co, and we've got her staff member is Encino, otherwise known as Engineer. And of course, sticking with the puns, we've got Carl Stummer of the test customer company. So that's the structure. That's what we're going to try and set up. So the process is that you set up the MSP account. That is the first thing you do, and hopefully you've already done this now. You can also then go and set up your staff account, you set up your client account, and then you add external staff. So this is when you're linking the main MSP account to the main client account, and this establishes that relationship. And then you can go on and assign roles, which will give the MSP different functions within that client account. Right, so let's go. Let's say we've signed up. Hopefully you've already seen something like this, where you go to log into the dashboard and get signed up, and you fill in your channel partner agreement. And once you've done that, you're able to log in. And once you've logged in, you can start adding staff. So this is where we add Encino into the MSP company. And Encino will receive an email. They'll click here to establish the account and set a secure password. And there we go. And so this is Encino's first look at the dashboard. Because they are brand new, they haven't been assigned any roles, they've got access to, well, pretty much nothing until we start assigning them roles. So things like access to the training course, they can be assigned as a security manager, technical manager, or billing authority. So this is within the MSP organization. So you can control that level of access within the MSP organization. You can also do this with the client account as well, which we'll get onto. So we can see now Emma is in her main client account, looking at her clients, got no clients. We'll fix that by setting up Carl's account. So put in the name, email address. Carl receives an email. He clicks to OK. So all those checks and balances, going to make sure that people are signing up as they should be. So Carl signs up as an end client, and it's been created. Now, because Emma signed up Carl through her account, we're now getting that account linked to Carl's account. Makes sense. So Carl confirms this, so he's received another email. Oops. There we go. Worst fears realized right there. The phone rings. Okay, so so Carl receives an email, says, yes, I'm a customer of the MSP Co. I click the link, and we associate that partner account with the client account, and it's confirmed. So now this is Carl's view of the dashboard, and Emma has received an email to say Carl's accepted the link. Here we go. We go back to the dashboard, and now looking at Emma's view from the Test MSP Co, she can log in using her credentials either as the Test MSP Co or the Test Customer Company. So there's no need for the partner to have the credentials for the client in order to access the client account, because we've made that link, we've made that distinction. Okay, let's get the notes to date. Right, Orchestrate users. We can have a look at the Orchestrate users and the roles. I'll just quickly switch screens again. Okay, so we're back at Emma Espy's account. We can go to our settings, look at our staff. Okay, so you can see that we've got a couple of extra members on at the moment, but what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll have a look at the editing of roles and also managing of clients. So we'll just have a quick look. So we can have a look at our roles here for Encino. And we trust Encino, so we've made him the billing authority, technical manager, security manager, and training for the MSP account. Okay, now we can have a look at our roles to the clients, and we can do the same thing here. So we can say with a test customer company, Encino has got that special relationship with Carl. They get along really well, and we want to make sure we maintain that relationship not only with your field support, but also with security, because that just makes sense. So we can make Encino your security manager, so he has access to things like the devices, application status, system status, and so on. He's also a technical manager, so he's got access to your agreements, training, and your staff, and he's also a billing authority. So let's say Carl says, look, Encino, I need to just get another device or get another service. You take care of it, because it's quite often the case. Encino says, no worries, I've got this, because he's got the billing authority. So he can actually go in and make purchases on behalf of the client. Now, these purchases are done by going to the actual customer's site. So you don't make the purchases on behalf of the customer through the partner's website. You make those purchases on behalf of the customer through the customer's site or view. So we're now in the test customer company profile, and we can now look at our subscriptions, deployments, order history, incident reports. So we can, let's say we want to order a managed service. So we want to get EDR onto the endpoints. We can just click here. You can link it to a deployment if you like. So select your client, deployment, select device, so on and so forth. Set your plan, how many seats. Okay, so there we go, $34 a month, just as an example. You can add to the cart, and you can also automatically renew. So we try to make that process as simple as possible. Okay, but again, this is all being done through the customer's profile. Thanks very much, James. We aim to please. So James has just said it's fairly affordable. And yeah, we agree. We work really hard to deliver that value to our clients and partners. And keep in mind, it makes the job of the partner easier to sell to the client, and therefore everyone wins. Okay, and that kind of takes us to our sales and reports section. So we'll just go back to profile test customer company. There we go. Come on. And manage session. Okay, we'll jump out of there. That's right. Yes, more seats do mean cheaper pricing. So we do have access to volume pricing. So yeah, there is a difference in cost per seat as you start to go out to larger and larger deployments, which again makes a lot of sense. All right, so we've covered our training. This is actually getting pretty close to the end of the presentation. All right, better than expected. So we've had a recent revamp of the presentation, so we're probably going to have plenty of time for lots of Q&A, and it sounds like you guys are ready to ask heaps of questions. Now what we'll do, we'll quickly jump back to the presentation. So we've done that, we've already been through the training. Oh, sorry, here's a little thing with the training. With the training, you can also monitor how enrollees are going to. So you can see if a particular user has completed the training or not, or which areas they're struggling in. So it gives you that really valuable feedback for that particular client staff member. Dave down in the warehouse might be having problems, and you can go and see him, talk him through it, and hopefully help them through. But also, this again strengthens your relationship with the client. Now, no doubt you will be interested in getting your hands on your very own NFR appliance. I know I did. And because I come from a technical background, I see a plug, I see a socket, I want to put a plug in it. And I made that mistake straight off, and I was wondering why it wasn't working as I was expecting it to. So
James gets what I was thinking anyway.
He totally gets it, yep. So when you're getting your very first Crystal Eye appliance, there's really only three things you need to plug in. So that's your power, your WAN connection, and also your LAN connection. So the WAN obviously goes to your router or to your gateway that's going out to the internet, and your LAN connection, that's connecting to a switch or to your laptop or desktop. And of course, your power goes to power. Now, on your desktop computer or your laptop, you just simply open up a web page. It should automatically assign you an IP address. So all you have to do is open up the web page and go to crystaleye.lan:81 or 10.10.1.1.81. These are always the default, and this will always get you started. Also, make sure that it's HTTPS instead of HTTP. Otherwise, you're going to be spending your time looking at a blank screen wondering why it's not working. Okay. Now, FAQs, this might be of use to anyone wanting to ask these burning questions. These are the most common ones we get. So how long are logs kept? By default, it's 30 days. We can change this, and we can even go beyond the storage that's available on the device by adding extended storage, which is an option at purchase. So with our Series 10 and our Series 20, you get 250 gig of system drive space, which is also used for storage. You can blow this out to 8 terabytes for your Series 10, 20, 25, and 30. For your Series 40 and upwards, you can add 2 drives, and then with our 50s and 60s and even all the way out to our 80s, you can start adding massive arrays. Now, is the memory or storage user serviceable? No. When we build these systems, we build them, and then the software is installed, and the software is tailored around that particular device, so that particular class of device. So the software will slightly differ between the Series 10 to a Series 20 to a Series 25. Not so much in what you see, but more so in the way it manages compute resources and the way it does thermal management and so on and so forth. So changing your memory or storage, it's probably not going to work. Now, I've just realized I did forget to include the table, which includes things like throughput. It is back earlier. You can see a glimpse of it when it comes to the product selection. So that's when we go to our Red Piranha Appliances and we talk about throughput. So the Series 10 does 100 megabits per second of true security throughput. And true security throughput, I'll explain now, is when you have everything turned on. So your IDPS, your firewall, your DLP, everything, with everything running. I mean, we could be like the other guys and say, yes, we've got a gigabit port connection there, and we can transfer data up to 100 gigabits per second. But that's with most of the security turned off. And if you're going to do that, I mean, why get a security appliance in the first place if you're going to be switching off features? So we measure true security throughput with everything turned on. And then when it comes to true security throughput for our Series 20 or our Series 25, so the Series 20 is true security throughput of 250 megabits per second. The Series 25 is 880 megabits per second, and it goes up to 65 gigabits per second. That's for our Series 80, which is an absolute beast. In fact, it's actually a world record for throughput. Keep an eye for our next record attempt, which we are working on. And we've got goals of getting 100 gigabits per second or more. Okay. Hopefully that covers everything. 47.8. So James is saying, I want 1.3 gigabits per second. That's what I'm getting into your premises. Oh, well done. You Crystal, I can't handle it. Yeah, well, you're going to have to spend a bit of coin in order to get true security throughput at 1.3 gigabits per second, but we can do that. I'm sure we can. Now, support services. Of course, you can contact us if you've got any questions regarding services or products from Red Piranha, and that's support@redpiranha.net. We've also got our online manual, which is currently undergoing a bit of a restructure, and the content's being updated as well as we're getting closer to releasing version 4.5. So we've got a lot of big features coming up. I'm very excited about them. We've also got our forum. You're all encouraged to go to the forum, register, join, and just take part in the community we're trying to build around cybersecurity for partners and end users. And you can also lodge your feature requests through the appropriate forum thread. So in the forum, we do have an area where you can say, hey, this is probably a good idea. In most cases, they are. Okay, so the next steps typically is you purchase an NFR appliance and you just plug in your WAN, LAN, and power and have a go. We've also got our Crystal Essentials Module 2, which will be coming up next week. There's also the Selling XDR program. And of course, for the really smart engineer guys that want to get their hands really dirty, there's the Crystal Certified Engineer course, which we're working on in updating that as well, because 4.5 is coming.
Yeah, so right. Crystal module 2 is same time next week, this exact slot, 1 week later, and no messing around with funny times or anything. We're all through. Oh, are we all through the daylight savings everywhere? I think some people around the world have it maybe this weekend or next weekend. Anyway, same time.
I wouldn't know. We don't have daylight saving in Western Australia.
Very
We've got plenty
complicated life everywhere else. Again. So that's it. Same time, same channel next week. We'll have Ben back here again, and people will be able to get hands-on, have a good play with the toy.
Absolutely. Yeah, so before we get to the Crystal Eye Essentials Module 2, please make sure that you do have your Orchestrate account set up, because that will be used to link your training instance with your Orchestrate account. If you don't have that, you're going to be stuck maybe a third of the way through of the process. James has asked a question. Do you offer hands-on training with someone like myself to take me through from scratch? Yes, we do. We can arrange it, because it does take up resources. There may be like a consulting charge involved. Yes, of course. And also, if you've got any particular cases that you want to work through, we've got our security operations engineers who are really, really good at organizing the security side of things. We've also got a gun infrastructure team as well. So if you want to have any network engineering done to properly lay out that network so it is secure and you're really getting that compartmentalization going, they can be contracted as well to help you out with your network design and implementation. So we really are a full service. We've got some partners that are not technical, or not as technical as they'd like to be. So we quite happily fill that gap for them. Excellent. Any other questions? You're more than welcome to ask. All right. Well, we've still got 10 minutes remaining, and it will go quick, because I guarantee you in about 9 minutes, you're going to say, oh, I forgot that question. I suppose just to make sure everyone's awake, what state are you guys in? All right, Michael, good question. You're on a plane next week during session 2. Is there an option to demo at another stage? The good thing is that these demos are also recorded and replayed. So we do try to cover all time zones by replaying. Like this session will be replayed 2 more times over the next 24-hour period. So you're more than welcome to register for those session playbacks, and you can just follow along at home. Instead of an NFR appliance, is there a virtual NFR virtual appliance that we can get our hands on? The question there from Key. The virtual appliance, NFR-wise, good question. We don't have anything like that set up now, but I dare say we could look at licensing, so to be something in the Amazon AWS, because we do have the licensing set up properly for that, where you can get the AWS appliance and then just apply a license to it. So this is something we could probably look into a little further. Maybe that's something we can talk about later on, Kevin.
Look, I think so. It's definitely on my roadmap anyway, without a doubt. Now back to Michael's question on a plane next week. We do have replays. Yep. They're all on Thursday next week. So there's a 11:30.
It must be a time zone thing. I covered that.
I'm looking at our international scheduling. Let's see. Replay 1 is 6 p.m. So if it's 11:30 a.m., it's 5.5 hours later. There's a replay of module 2.
Oh, there we go.
And then
there's your international scheduling there, guys.
3 hours after that. Depends how far you're going, Michael, if you're going a few time zones away. But if you have a look on our events page, you'll see detail there.
Awesome. All right. Hope you're staying dry there in New South Wales, Stephen.
Yeah, the sun is shining very far north New South Wales.
Oh, good to hear.
It's shining kind of through some wispy cloud. We did have rain today, but it's not too bad. I know some places are getting smashed, especially down in Victoria.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. We got technology news and the weather.
We've been doing this for almost 2 years, Ben, and I finally got your Carl Strummer thing. I was laughing away to myself before. Believe it. What is?
Yeah. I was just like really hanging out to do some dad jokes, so
yep,
it stuck.
You got me. Okay, well, I think we can send people off to get a cup of tea or maybe a beer if they're in the right time zone.
Yep. I wouldn't say no. All right. Yeah, I think that about covers it. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks very much, Ben. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Rhea for manning the chat. Terry, Henry, Stephen, Michael, James. Thanks, everybody.
Play the music, Rhea.